Now, some of you would have worked in this way before, so I'm just going to remind you. So you're going to have the bricks in this position and then roll in the bricks like this. And this is for your feet. Now I'm going to just show you the foot action. You can see that the foot goes onto the top of the support, and you have to see, can you get your heels down? Now, I remember years ago when I first started practicing this, that this was a job to get my heels down. It was really challenging. And these cork bricks are slightly wider than regular bricks. So we have to see that we get this action. All right, now we're going to bring a chair into the equation as well. So many of you will remember this. So we take the feet onto the support like this and then hook the buttocks to the wall and be in this position. Now you want to see that you pull up through the legs and you hold onto the chair in this position. So whilst you're getting ready, getting your chair, getting your awareness, you can have a look at the distance that I've got from the wall to the bricks. This is a rough distance. The further away you go, you'll have a nicer lengthening action. The nearer to the wall you go, the more challenging it will become. So get your props ready, get your chair, whatever the chair is, it really doesn't matter. You want to see that you're getting that connection. All right, so hopefully you've wrapped your mat and your bricks together, and now you are ready to go. So onto the supports like this. Now you have to be a bit careful and really understand how much pressure you're putting on your ankles, because if you feel overly stretched in your Achilles ankles, then you have to go down just a little bit lower, maybe onto a foam pad or something like that, where you can actually work in this action. The knees pull up, the thighs lift up, and then you can see this little movement of hinging. I want to make a little bit of space so I can push the back of the hamstring up, the buttocks into the wall, and then I come onto the chair and bring the hands onto the top of the chair like this. All right, so hopefully you're there in it. So be in this position, be aware of the extension through the legs and pull up those kneecaps. So it's really a strong action. If you feel it in the back of the knee, soften the knees and lift your buttocks a little bit more. Draw in from the body groins and keep that action there. So such a strong action. And whilst you're there, just a couple of deeper, longer inhalations and exhalations. Soft inhale, soft exhale. So we have to cook in these poses a little bit more. We're cooking so that we can get that connection. So at first, the body's very, very busy, very noisy with that, ouch, that's a little bit too much. So we have to ease into it gradually, and hopefully actually the whole body starts to cooperate eventually. So that's really nice to get all of that connection. So if you're still suffering and it's still like a toothache, then you need to practice this an awful lot more. Okay, taking a breath in and slowly coming up. So you want to aim for longer stays, 5 minutes. If you're doing again, just nip the button on that play on the video and just be in this for a little bit longer if you can. All right, so we're coming to our next action, which is Adho Mukha Svanasana. So we're going to do this as soon as we've got the chair. You have your chair to the wall. I'm going to demonstrate sideways on. So you want to have the back of the chair to the wall so that it's not going to go flying. You don't want it to go flying, but I want to show you this action. So I'm grounding down. It's almost like we've been working on the floor action over the last few weeks, that we sort of press down into our arms, into the forearms, and lift the buttocks up. You want to see how much can you lift up. So you're going to lift up with the buttocks so much and push the back of the buttock back. So you want to open the back of the buttock by moving the back of the pelvis towards the back creases. So then we're ready to extend. We're then ready to be in this slightly odd shape. So it is a bit of an odd shape. So be in your Adho Mukha Svanasana. Remember, secure the chair. All right, so if you're already up, then go through the instruction of pressing into the ball of the feet, lift up through the back of the pelvis, make sure you're getting that action. And then the back of the pelvis shifting towards the back thighs and keeping that lift through the body. So all of this becomes really, really key, really, really important. Okay, well done. And then release in. All right, so we're going to work slightly differently in Adho Mukha Svanasana. So let me just show you. You're going to have a brick, maybe a foam pad, depending. So we're going to rest the head now. So you want to see that the support is in a good place, but you have to see that you mirror those actions that you were doing on the chair. So pulling up the kneecaps and thighs, seeing that the back of the pelvis moves very strongly towards the back leg. And let that area open. And then releasing the head towards the support. Pulling up the kneecaps and thighs. So you want to see that there's quite a lot of broadness and breadth in the back of the thigh, around the glutes and the lower back. So you have to shift the back of the pelvis towards the back of the leg so much. So such a key action. So just a few more breaths in this position. Okay, and then release in, release in. All right, so have a look at the screen again. Now you can see why we need a wall for this action. So if you haven't got any walls, then you have to find somewhere you can put your back to. So I'm just going to put the bricks here. Now you can see that I've got two bricks here. This is for Prasarita padottanasana. Now if your bricks are a little bit slippy, then you can fold the mat around. I'm not going to do that for today's demonstration, but if you feel that they are a little bit slippy, then you can do that. Now the best way to get into this is to have the chair on the mat and put your feet then onto the bricks. Now I want to move these bricks a little bit wider because I want a bit more of a challenge here. So I'm moving them a bit wider. Okay, and then I can step. I've got to see that I step onto the bricks. Now my bottom is to the wall and I'm going to push the chair away now. So sorry for the noise. So I'm going to push the chair away. So I'm in this position. Now that's going quite well. So now I'm going to lift the abdomen to the spine and place the hands down to the floor. And you want to see that this position is coming really nicely with the lift of the back buttock, getting that evenness. And then just let the head release any amount. So you might want to be on the chair for a little bit longer because it's really nice and restful on the chair. Or you may want to place something underneath the head, which is really quite useful as well. So remembering that this is your practice session, so you have to play about with this stuff a little bit so that actually you can explore. So just take a few deeper, longer inhalations and exhalations. So this is one of my favorite ways of working in Prasarita padottanasana. It really gives you that full length of the leg, that broadness across that lower back, and you kind of get the direction of the back of the pelvis. So it's really a nice way of working. Okay, so now releasing and coming down and standing in Tadasana. So whilst you're in Tadasana, roll your shoulders back and down and lift your sternum chest. All right, so we're going to come now for Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. So the Dvipada is 2 legs and we're coming into a coiling of the chest, and we're going to be using a chair. Now if you've got a chair which you can't go through, then don't worry about it. You can sit on a normal chair. We used to do that. When I used to teach in the halls, we could just go over the chair seat itself. So just be mindful that anything's possible with the props that you have at home. So you can see here that I've got a chair, mat over the chair, 4 foam pads and a brick on top. So I'm going to go through the chair. Now those of you with normal chairs, then you can come into it in this way. It's a little bit more challenging because you're sliding on the chair, so it's a little bit more demanding, but it can be done. You can see there. All right, so we just take the legs through like this. Now, it's always a bit of a challenge, where do you sit on the chair? So you want to move yourself through the chair like this. So you're right on the end, and then you want to see there's no skin that accumulates underneath. So you want to really reach the skin fibres along towards the armpit, and then curve the chest, and then we extend the legs in this way. So hopefully you can connect with the abdomen to spine, and then extend and open. So if you need to have support underneath the head, that is fine too. So coming into the Dvipada Viparita Dandasana, and breathe. Now what's interesting about this pose is this action. So when we go over, I want you to take another look, just so that I give you this information. Really important that you know this. When you go over, a lot of people say that when they go over, you don't want to go into the lumbar spine, you want to go just underneath the shoulder blades. So you'll be in this position, and then see that when you're here, all the problems come when you take the hands here. So, and the shoulders come towards your ears. Now you have to lift the head and pin the shoulders back. Yeah, just like that. Lift the head and pin the shoulders back. Like that. Lift the head and pin the shoulders back. Like that. action. So you're coming into this, not like that. All right, so hopefully that was good enough to see on the screen. All right, so your turn now, whichever way you're working. If you don't have a yoga chair, then it's really a good birthday or Christmas present. Really important to have this in your kit at this stage in your practice. Okay, off you go. See that you go through the chair and coil into the action. Coil into the action. Go and see, can you roll into the action? Can you see, are you able to move the center of the dorsal spine so much towards the chest side? And breathe, soft inhalation, exhalation. So hopefully you're in it. So if it's not comfortable, you have to question. You have to question what's happening with the legs, what's happening with the tailbone. The tailbone has to go towards the wall. And if it's not, you may want to put your feet on the floor and lift the pelvis and push that tailbone towards the wall. You want to see that the legs are really connecting and very strong, working well, so that the abdomen can release towards the spine. And then when you're coiling, you're coming into this action, you want to see, are you able to get that action and open those shoulders and be there and breathe. So some challenges, some real challenges. Soft inhalation, soft exhalation. Soft inhale, soft exhale. Okay, well done. All right, bend your knees, put your feet onto the floor and pull yourself up, dorsal spine in really nicely. Okay, well done. All right, so just take a moment, sit upright. Now, don't get out of the chair, don't get off the chair too quickly, just be there, just digest some of that work, some of that lovely work. All right, so while you're there, I'm going to be carrying on, coming to the next pose. So you can see here that I've got a bolster and a blanket, and I'm going to come for Supta Baddha. Now I know some of you are challenged by this, and if that's the case, you can still come into this action. It might be that you want to have a little bit more support. You can have support underneath the feet in this way. You can build this up, so this can be a bit of support for you. This is quite useful. Maybe 4 foam pads, that kind of thing. Or you actually have the belt slightly differently. So I'm talking about students that are watching who have got difficulty with the knees. So just have a go with this action here like this. So it's slightly different. You might want to have both. You might want to put your feet up onto something and also have the belt. For those of you who are practicing the regular action of Supta Baddha, then you want to see that you place the belt around in this way, like this. So you want to get this action nicely, and then come towards your support. Now, what's really important before you go down is that you go up before you go down. So you want to see that you roll onto the buttock bones. Now, if you find that that is a bit too much for your back, then you'll have to move the tailbone towards the end of the mat. This is a way of working if there's tightness in the back. So we manipulate the back in all different ways in this position, but you want to see that to get upright, you want to sit on those femur heads. You can see here, if I'm like that, I drop the femur head. So hopefully you can see that action. So I want to see that I'm lifting up out of the pelvis and just letting the legs weight down. So that's quite challenging if the hips are tight. So once we're in this position, we're going to come into Supta Baddha and just let the legs release, whatever way you're working. Now, if your legs are up high, So I know there's some of you who will find this quite challenging. Some of you will be practicing the version that I've just shown. Some of you will need to have some support underneath the thigh area. So you know to put a couple of foam pads under each thigh so it doesn't disturb your practice. And then once you're in this position, just closing your eyes and just being there. Now try to take the tension out of the buttocks. Try and take the tension out of the buttocks, and you'll find that everything will start to soften and release. So all of that gripping, all of that trying starts to soothe away, starts to ease away. And once you're in this position, whichever way you're working, and then continue to try to let go, let go. So eventually you are working with your breath. So it's a soft inhalation, soft exhalation. So just let those thighs release down, releasing the center buttock, releasing the outer hips, let them weight down. Just see that those legs completely ground down. And just be there for a few minutes without any disturbance. Just try to find that stillness from observing your breath and the direction of the breath, the reaction of the breath. Just let everything settle down. Okay, so slowly bringing those thighs towards one another and coming up into a seated position. And then releasing the legs. Okay, very well done. Good. Very nice. Okay.